welcome to Vag.
Hi.
And we have a
Is that
guest this
what
week.
called, Vag?
Yeah, it's called Vag.
Awesome.
We were going to talk about our vaginas a lot to try to get people to come, but then we realized people don't really come when you talk about your vagina that much.
Oh,
Sometimes they do, though.
Yeah, sometimes. But we have a guest this week that I'm really excited. I would like to introduce everybody to Nikki New Hope. I found her on TikTok. I'm a big fan of your account, and you are a sex worker / sex worker mentor, and I thought you would be really fascinating to talk to. And yeah, welcome. Thanks for doing our podcast. We're appreciative.
We're comedians. I don't know if you're a fan of comedy. I feel like most people are not a fan of comedy.
No, I am.
You are? Okay. Do you ever go to shows or not really?
I just watch them on, TV, Netflix and stuff. But I've got my favorites like Tom Segura and Joe Rogan and stuff like that. I guess that's everybody's favorites now, but
Yeah, those are great.
yeah.
So I guess I'm going to ask you, and you feel free if you have any questions for us. How has COVID affected your work?
It's made it a lot better for cam girls and online work, like a lot better. It was booming, and it still is. But for in-person stuff, it's made it a little iffy because, people have families and jobs and stuff like that, and they don't want to make themselves susceptible to that type of thing. So it's just backed off a little bit, but I mean, men will be men. So they've walked 10 miles in the snow to get to it if they had to. So
that makes sense.
I'll talk about this openly. My husband has herpes, and the girl told him she had herpes, and he still went for it. So guys don't even give a shit a lot of the times.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Do you check their temperatures or anything, or you're just like, we'll wing it?
No, I don't check temperatures. I mean, I go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that's what they're doing for stand-up. You have to get your temperature taken and then wear a mask. Right. So it's just interesting how it's kind of changed everything.
Yeah, and what was really interesting is the strippers in the strip clubs, they're wearing masks, so they all look like the Mortal Kombat characters.
Oh yeah. I was wondering that because I saw articles about how there were like drive-through strip clubs now. But they were already, even in strip clubs, they were already doing, what was it? At least the 3 feet rule. I'm assuming now it's moved to 6 feet, right?
That's so crazy to me. Probably. I've even seen last night, I saw an article that said that they were, where the strip clubs were shut down, they were doing topless food delivery service, like Uber Eats, but topless.
That's actually pretty genius.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a lot of takers.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure. I mean, I know there's like cleaning services where you can you clean topless.
Yeah, I don't think they pay them enough. That's why I wouldn't do that. But yeah.
No, absolutely.
That sounds like a nightmare to me, though. Like, I just feel like if someone was to come clean my house, I wouldn't even want to be around them because I'd feel uncomfortable. So I can't imagine making someone come to my house, dressing up for me, and then just watching them like clean.
Yeah, but men probably are fine.
That's true.
Is there much cleaning going on when you're topless cleaning? I feel like, I would be mad if I showed up topless and the guy actually really wanted me to clean.
Yeah. Yeah, I would feel, self-conscious, especially in the positions where you have to like bend down to clean something or something, you know what I mean? It'd be awful for myself to clean.
Where you're like, oh, this is not like a flattering position, like to be cleaning topless, but I mean, I would definitely find it funny if the guy's like, now really get in there.
Or he's just trying to talk to you while you're vacuuming and you're like, I can't hear you. Can you just wait a second? I'm almost done with the rug.
There's been a few videos on TikTok from one girl specifically where I guess she cleans houses and she's like, she puts the camera where the guy can't see it because she's cleaning the man's house, and the man comes in and is saying all sorts of, and he's probably like 80 years old or something, and he's just making her feel totally uncomfortable. It's crazy, and she continues to record him. So yeah, It
Oh my
would probably
God.
be an uncomfortable situation in all actuality.
That hasn't showed up on my For You page yet, but I can't wait to
Yeah.
get to that. I keep telling Adrienne to get on TikTok, but she won't do it. I am absolutely obsessed. Are you on there a lot?
All day.
Yeah.
All
And
day
has
long.
it helped your job a lot too?
It has, and it's actually it helps because it's like a social credit score for one, because of the followers and stuff, and then you can end up charging more or you look more credible or whatever. And then it also helps it for me, it's rewarding because I get to help girls, and give them advice and answer their questions. And I can't tell you how many messages I get that are so heartfelt that are like, thank you for giving me, confidence, or thank you for, teaching me how to do this, or telling me how to get out of this situation, or whatever. And it's like, that's all I've ever wanted, was to give back to them. And I found a community there that I never expected.
Oh, absolutely. Because I feel like no one gives you career advice for this kind of work,
No.
and it's absolutely you're just thrown in there, and I wouldn't even know what to expect. So I feel like the service that you provide is actually very helpful.
Yeah. I mean, when I started, there was nothing of the sort. You could Google it and you would get literally nothing. And so then that leaves you to do trial and error, which leaves you with a lot of failures. And then that's why you learn the lesson. And I don't understand why. I mean, because it's going to happen either way. You know what I mean? So why
Yeah.
not have something to help girls if they're going to make that choice for themselves, anyways? You
Oh,
know?
absolutely. I'd rather read about it or hear about it than experience some of those like trial and errors I would expect.
Especially because it's so isolating, and it's very uncommon for a girl to reach out in real life to another girl. Like, where would you find them? How would you approach them? Like, they probably don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? You never know if they're managed. It's just rough. So I'm glad that it's headed in a direction that we're able to talk about it. And I think OnlyFans actually played a large part in that. Like, not, it's not totally normalized. They kind of shun us like that we don't exist, you know. But that in the platform in and of itself becoming so popular has kind of normalized it more towards a more, easy conversation.
Oh yeah, because I feel like right with OnlyFans, it was for a lot of sex workers, but now like even a lot of comics have gotten into OnlyFans, so it's like made it a more normalized platform, I think.
Yeah. The only shitty part is that, and it's whatever, we kind of expect it, but it's that whenever they, say what they do, whenever they're advertising like we're this, they never mention sex workers ever. They only
No.
mention, personal fitness and coaches and cooks and stuff like that. And we're just a blight on
Oh yeah,
on
and I'm assuming that you guys are like the number one income source for them, which is
yeah.
so wild, I think, to just kind of like disregard you guys since you guys
But,
bring in all the income.
but basically, what are we gonna do about it? So you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
So they
You
just do it.
would you be open to, I think one of the questions was, like legalizing it, maybe even having unions so it's safer for women and men, just everyone that's in the business, because it seems like you are kind of shunned from society, and probably not shunned, but like you said, you're not even on OnlyFans promoted, and you're probably making the most revenue for them. So do you mean, like, do you think that something like that would be helpful, decriminalize it? And if you guys had like some sort of union, or just like, it was legal and there was like places to make sure you guys were safe and
I would prefer decriminalization over legalization. It's kind of like the whole pot thing, the marijuana
Yeah.
thing, where we people all voted yes on this thing that they thought, oh, it's going to make pot legal, we can all smoke it, but they didn't realize then that it was going to push all the little guys out, and it was going to be heavily taxed and controlled, and make it to where it was like the big corporations that made the money off of it, and it didn't help any of the little guys that had been there forever.
Oh
right.
yeah.
So I feel like it would be the same, along the same lines, and that decriminalization would be a lot better. It's sad, the way that they round girls up in stings. I've gotten caught in 2 stings. And the last time I went to court, when I was just settling it, I saw them call up 10 girls, 10 girls up to the front that had all got caught in the same sting. And they ranged from all different demographics, all different, races, ages. They looked, some of them looked like they were well off, and some of them looked like they were totally poor. And it's just like, that sucks. That sucks. Because really, they were trying to feed their family. You don't know what situation they were in that moment to make that decision to go all the way out to, 45 minutes away drive, and then just to, you know what I'm saying? Like, they
Oh
weren't doing
yeah.
anything wrong. So it's pretty shitty.
Also, I feel like it's y'all that get hit with the sentencing or like the I guess the offense rather than the I guess you would say the John or your client, where you're like, I mean, they're just as guilty as well, and it feels like they never get as busted as much, or they don't do stings about against the guys. It feels
Yeah,
very one sided to me. That's all.
yeah. And it's not hurting anybody, and it's like,
No.
they'll make us habitual after so long, and the way that they treat us is just absolutely, you know trash. Like, I don't know, it's the oldest profession, so it's so sad that it's taken this long, but I feel like it's finally making a little bit of a, shift to being more positive about it.
Oh yeah. Well, because I mean, I was looking at your TikTok, and I feel like you always give advice about it. Doesn't it feel like it feels like girls are getting like taken advantage by what pimps, right?
Hmm. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And if it was decriminalized, I feel like that wouldn't have like that kind of behavior wouldn't happen as much, right?
Right. And I feel like also, we tell kids in a certain way about drugs or about violence or about these things, to look out for these things, and not fall victim to them, right? We've always taught, like, Red Ribbon Week and stuff, but when do we ever tell little girls, like, this is how you find looking for, this is how you can tell a man is a pimp, or this is how you can tell he's grooming you. We don't really. And it's like, I saw a post on TikTok. I don't know if you saw it, but I ended up duetting it and stuff, and he immediately blocked me. He got one of my posts removed, but I just kept on doing it.
Is that
um
shrimpy?
yeah.
Yeah.
And did you see his profile and stuff?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, it's completely clear to me. It took me, 0.01 seconds to know that was a pimp. But then on the post where it says, "Oh, do you want to get spoiled? Do you want to make a lot of money?" All this stuff. There was 7,000 comments underneath that post of girls saying, "Oh, how do I sign up? Where's the application? Take me with you." And it's just like, how can they not see it? But I mean, I guess if you've never been involved in it, you wouldn't. But
Oh yeah.
somebody should tell them.
What is some advice like girls come up to you with? Like, what is like some of the more popular or most asked questions?
I get a lot of just vague ones, like, how do I get started on this or that. And I don't tend to answer those, because it's like, the I want them to look for the information first and ask me, like, a more specific question, showing me that they've actually tried, instead of, because
Yeah.
if I just give them, if I answer every how do I get started, then they probably aren't going to follow through with it anyway. So it's going to be a waste of my time. You know what I mean?
Oh
So,
yeah. We get that like in comedy. People are like, "Oh, so how do you get started?" And you're like, "Well, you have to do like years of free work and like tons of open mics." And then you're like, they don't want to do this. Like they don't want to actually do the work. So you can kind of like it. I feel like there's sometimes a lot of similarities between stand-up comedy and then also in sex working as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
but in stand up,
probably.
you don't get paid for a long time. You're just working for free. I can't imagine that anyone is like interning as a sex worker.
Well, any of the girls that are pimped are interning as sex workers,
I guess
definitely.
that's true. So do they not make any money at all?
When they're pimped, they don't make money at all. They
For
they
how
get
long?
money forever, as long as they're pimped, until they get away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then the pimps just make sure that all their needs are taken care of. So they'll buy them something to eat, or, you know, they'll buy them new outfits or whatever. And that's why I've seen so many girls on there, like, look at, flashing their Michael Kors bag or whatever, like, but that's all you got out of that. And they have quotas per day. I don't know what happens to them if they don't meet their quota, but they have quotas.
Oh my
And it's
God.
terrible.
That would give me
Yeah,
I
so
was,
much stress.
yeah.
yeah, it should. I'm sure they have severe PTSD afterwards.
Oh yeah.
I'm
I mean,
sure.
in regular jobs, when they ask me to do quotas, I'm like, ugh. Like I always want to quit, so I can't imagine like hitting a sex quota.
Yeah, and then it sucks too because it's like, if they dry, because they have this, it's called dry runs, where somebody will call you and they'll send you out to bumfuck Egypt, you know what I mean, saying that they want a date with you or whatever. You'll go out there and it's just a trick, you know what I mean? They're just lying, they're just kidding or whatever. So you'll end up being like, oh man, like that's why we screen so heavily. But I can't imagine how many girls end up in those situations that are pimped, then don't make their quota. I don't know what happens after that, but it sucks. Or the sting situation, like it sucks, for them. So I'm putting together a video for YouTube right now, researching it, trying to I'm gonna say the whole pimping thing and how to look out for them, and because it's pretty clear once you know the signs.
Have you
Yeah.
had anyone approach you about like trying to pimp you out, and you're like, "Fuck you, I'm doing
I
my
get
own
texts.
thing."
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
texts all the time.
you're like, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't need you.
Yeah, I have fun with them, by texting them, and sometimes they'll be like, oh, can let me pull up, and I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm at the Sheraton Grand. I'm in room 497. Just show up, and then they
Oh
do.
man,
But I'm not there.
hilarious.
Yeah. And then pimps always have to have the last word. So you can go on with them for hours and just fuck with them. It's
Oh
pretty
my God.
entertaining.
You should get Adrienne to help you out because Adrienne's really, she does this thing on Tinder where she like eggs guys on until like, and says the most outlandish things until they tap out. And so I
Yeah.
feel like she'd be
But
really good for you.
but dudes, it's so weird because like you said, dudes are so gross. They'll just keep going with anything. Like you could
Right.
tell. Like I had a guy that kept writing to me, and I finally told him I didn't get back to him because my dad killed himself, and he was still like so into the conversation. Like Jimmy, like no red flags. He was just like still into it. We were
Yeah.
like, dude, this doesn't seem like you make good decisions.
No, they don't. They think with their dick. That's why.
Yeah. And they don't have to fear for their safety, so they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That is true too. Do you have like a bunch of friends that are, I don't know, kind of like how me and Sarah are like good friends in comedy and we kind of like look out for each other? Do you have like buddies like that?
And share
No?
stories.
It's very isolating. It's very isolating because you never know what people's intentions are. You never know,
Ah, that's true.
what who they have. And actually, I had one hoe friend my whole entire career, just one, and then we ended up falling out. But like, come to find out, she had a pimp that was behind the scenes the whole time, and she was
Oh,
trying to
wow.
pimp younger girls out, and like so it's just kind of better to stay on your own in a way, unless I don't know, I'm sure that there's always exceptions to the rule, but for me, I just
Yeah.
have better alone. I work better alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so. If you're dealing in a, like uncharted territory that if it's you're kind of would be hesitant, I think, to make friends because you don't know what their intentions are.
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And
Are
we
there
do doubles with girls, but that doesn't mean we're friends.
yeah, yeah.
Coworkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be kind of like with eight like Adrian and I as female stand-ups, it gets kind of isolating too because you'll be like the only female on a lineup or like you're going to a gig all by yourself and you don't
And
know
then
what kind of person you're dealing with. Like there's a lot of times I'll like I did a job in Florida with a guy that managed a little black box theater and I didn't know him and he was like, "Hey, come into my office." And I get so nervous going into an office with a guy I don't even know that like at all. And I'm just like hoping that there's a waitress in the room and there were. So it gets kind
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I get nervous beforehand, but not because of the men, just because more so I'm like, I hope that they like me. I don't know why that's in the back of my head, but like I know I'm pretty confident once I am going like on the way there that I've made that decision that they're fine. You know what I mean? Because I can usually tell between text messages, how they word things, you know, how they're acting, the timestamps between text messages, the area they live in, the picture that they send, different things like that. And then I know that they're ultimately more scared of me than I am of them.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
I forget you forget about that.
as far as working with other girls, I like working alone mostly because I do things a specific way and other girls do not.
Yeah.
So I can't tolerate it.
No, I saw that you do quite a bit of vetting with clients. Like you make sure they give you their like social media profiles, right? So you can see if they have friends or like a network of people that can vouch for them. Like you
Well,
do,
yeah,
like,
just to make sure that they're an actual person. Yeah.
yeah,
And
not some
then,
like rando.
and yeah, and if their profile was just created that day, we used to have Redbook, and then that was a lot easier because people had, you know, there was forums, so you could see like how many posts they've made and like that they were real people. They have reviews that they'd written, and you could kind of see which ones were fake or not. Like if that account was just created today and it has one review, that's probably not
Yeah,
the
red
person you
flag.
want. Yeah. So
Yeah.
things like that. Redbook made it a lot easier, but they took that away. So
I never even
Yeah.
heard of red book.
Yeah, I
Is
never
it
even heard of it.
really, it was around for I think 10 years, but it was primarily for West Coast, like California, and then just a couple of the like Nevada and stuff like that. But it was a huge thing, and the numbers on there worked out to there was like a girl in every other household, and of course girls had multiple profiles and stuff, and it wasn't literally one in every other household, but it worked out. The numbers worked out to that, and it ran for 10 years, and it was a community that you can still find it on the Wayback Machine. And like I feel like if somebody turned that into like a book, like the really good posts, you know, the relevant ones, they would,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the sex work Bible, basically.
so
Um,
is that just for sex work?
yeah, it was just for sex work.
Okay.
It was for mainly Bay Area, Sacramento, um, and it was girls would make profiles or post ads, and then it would have reviews and a forum that was just absolutely great. The forum is what is lacking now. They don't have any. They don't have one anymore. But
Not even on Reddit or anything like that.
because of Sesta Fosta, it's extremely difficult of what you can and can't say, and
Uh,
yeah.
is that why
But
Redbook was taken down?
Redbook was taken down before Sesta Fosta because well they what they said was tax evasion,
Mm.
and that if they can't get you on anything else, they're going to get you on tax evasion. And then there was a sister site, which I assume that was created by the same Redbook people, called Night Shift after that, and then that was taken down with Sesta Fosta. So ever since then, it's been kind of
Yeah,
shitty.
they don't make it easy. That's awful.
Yeah, the stop and what is it? Stop Sex Trafficking Act and stuff. And what I just want to see the numbers of how many sex traffickers have we caught because of that now?
Yeah, I know. It feels like it's even increased more.
Like, wouldn't you think that they would want to keep Backpage up so that they could find the bad?
Monitor. Yeah, I feel like you would easily like pick up on stuff on that kind of website. And anytime that something is monitored more, it's easier to it like
Pinpoint
squash.
that.
Yeah, to bring it or whatever, decrease the numbers, I think, for
And so
sex trafficking.
now they've gone all over. I don't know if you've seen them. They're all over the dating apps, all over all
Yeah,
over.
I've heard about that. I it's been a while since I've done the dating apps, but is that a lot is that a place where a lot of sex workers go to increase their
Yeah,
profile to get more work?
yeah, sex workers and pimps alike, both of them. Yeah.
Wow, that's so fascinating. Um, I was gonna ask, what are perks about your job? What do you like about your job?
Well, the attention, the it gave a confidence boost instantly. Um, it was terrifying at first, and I was like a Catholic to where somebody had suggested it to me, and I was like, I'll do anything but that. I'm not gonna sell my soul. I was one of those type of people. And then I was like, but I'll do sugar dating, and I went on one sugar daddy date, and I said, fuck this. Like I'm just definitely gonna because that just requires so much more of you. The sugar dating.
Ooh, what does it require? Because
Huh?
sometimes you think of that and you're like, that sounds awesome. So what did you not like about that?
I didn't like the amount of time that I had to spend. I wanted it to just, after sitting with this older man for probably 4 or 5 hours and pretending I was interested, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't get the money when I walked in or anything like that. It was my first time. I had no idea. I ended up sitting there with him for 4 or 5 hours, listening to all his bullshit, and then going home with nothing. And because I didn't know how that worked, I just kind of was
Yeah.
in it. And so that made me feel really terrible. So I was like, I would just rather have it, wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and done, and have my money before anything starts. Then I control the situation, and I've never been able to navigate this sugar daddy thing successfully, like really well. I always treat it like it's an escort thing.
Yeah, that's it. Adrian and I always talk about on the podcast of like the girlfriend experience where like, ugh, just I'd rather blow someone, get the money, and then I don't
Yeah,
want to spend hours listening to stories and being like, oh my God, that's so interesting. I've never thought
That's
about it that way before.
exactly why I don't
pretending someone's life is interesting and you're like, oh, dude, this is awful. Like you said, I would not want to pretend to be interested in someone's life and listen
yeah.
to him talk about his mom. And you're like, oh, dude, like you said, I just want to go in, do my work, and leave. That's how I'm like, even with spots. I'm like, I want to go in, do my spot, and just leave as quick as I can.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah, it's
then
mentally draining, right?
it's totally emotionally exhausting. Even some appointment, like even 2 hour appointments, can sometimes be just totally emotionally
That
exhausting for me. I
that
mean,
seems like a long time.
they never last. I mean, it never lasts 2 hours, but they do. I do feel obligated to stay for like an hour and a half. You know what I mean? An hour appointment only lasts usually probably 20 minutes. A 30-minute appointment lasts only probably usually 10 minutes. Um, so that I don't, because the rule is, well, you guys know probably, right? Like either you get to leave when the time elapses and it's done, or you get to leave when they finish. One of the
Okay.
two. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then
um,
the girlfriend experience thing that you were saying, that means something different in hooker language.
does it
The
really? What is it?
girlfriend experience is like doing stuff bare usually, doing stuff, yeah, unprotected usually.
Okay. Wow, good to know.
Yeah.
I did not
I
know that.
no, I these are the things like I like hearing about or like the details that that most people would not know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would never know that.
there's a lot of
Um
lingo. So
in
that's
with
why
this line of work, is there a lot of stuff that what are some stuff that most you think or most people wouldn't know about of sex working?
it's kind of hard for me to say because I've been in it for 9 years. So then
Yeah.
a lot of times I have to like step back and then have somebody else remind me, and I'm like, oh, okay, you wouldn't understand that because you're not in it. But I'm just, you know what I mean? When you get so close to something, it's hard to
Yeah.
think about that stuff.
No,
Have
definitely
you?
like oh, sorry, Adrian, you go.
No. You go. I was just wondering, like, are you close with your family? You know, are there people in your life that were not approving of your decisions to start doing it? Like, did it affect relationships?
I've always been an asshole, and I've always been, I'm gonna do whatever I'm gonna do, and so, um, I needed money at the time, and that's how I made it. And my mom's not alive; she died of an overdose. But my dad, he's alive, and he knows what I do, and he's just like an OG biker. He knows I'm gonna do it either way, so he just tries to tell me like little advice without directly telling me it, and he kind of just pretends it's not happening, and he tells me to be safe, and so that's. And relationships are terrible when you're a sex worker. Absolutely awful.
Yeah, I
I
can imagine. What's one of is it the uh intimacy with a client or is it just that you're out all the time or is it just like a combination of everything?
It's because men have this, especially if you date a client, which you should never do, but somehow I've done it twice. The guy I'm dating now is a client, um, or was a client the one time. It's just because when they see you on the internet, they're never, they have this picture of you built up, this backstory, They make it all up in their head, and that's what you're going to be to them, no matter what else you show them about your whole relationship. So then they were usually are raised a certain way too, to where they have these underlying, predisposition, like about judging you, basically, even if they say they're totally fine with it or whatever, they're really not. So then they always think of you as less than. And then if there's somebody that is not involved in this at all, they, no matter how many times they say that they're cool with it, they're usually not cool with it. They
Yeah.
can't. I mean, we weren't, most of us weren't raised to wrap our head around this type of thing, so it's very difficult, and they get in the way. They get in the way of the money.
I could see that. Do they get
It's
jealous?
Yeah, they
Do
get
they want
jealous.
to see the other guys that you're like gonna work with? Is that one of the things you're like, I want to see who you're going out with and stuff?
My last boyfriend was a nightmare. He would do stuff like record, like put a cell phone that was on record in the room before, because like when I would go out of town to work in hotels and stuff, put a cell phone that was on record in the room, and then I wouldn't didn't even know about this, and he was doing it for like 3 or 4 days, but he would repeat things to me like in conversation that I'm like feeling like I'm going crazy, like how, and come to find out he was recording the whole session, listening
oh
to it,
my
and
God.
working his head up like, oh, do you like them better than me, and all this stuff. Then he started looking at all the pictures of them in my phone all the time, and every time I'd start getting ready for a date, he would talk shit to me all the way to, you know what I mean? And then they want to try to become pimps after that for some reason. He went on
Yeah.
to pimp some other girl, but yeah, no.
I would think a lot of dudes probably are too insecure to date a woman that is a sex worker, because then you start just getting probably jealous of your clients and like, is
And
he
they
better looking than me? Is he, make more money than me? Is he whatever? Does he have a bigger dick? Whatever it is, do you know what I mean? I would just think that there would be a lot of jealousy.
they can't wrap their head around it at all, that it's two completely different things, that it's
Yeah.
just work. It's not anything other than work. Like we're zoned out most of, I mean, the whole sex part. I mean, we're cognitive enough to be like, no, don't do that. No, I'm not comfortable. You know what I mean? To protect
Mm.
Yeah.
ourselves. But otherwise we're just looking at, oh, what color am I going to paint my fingernails next time? Or like, we're
Yeah,
not
it's
thinking about
it's
that.
work.
And they can
Yeah.
look like whatever and fuck like whatever, but it doesn't, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just work. And they can't get that, even though they can go and sleep with whoever and not care about them at all. So I don't understand.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. It seems like
Double
it's a double
standard.
standard. Yeah, I was trying to think of the word where you're like a lot of guys when they cheat, they're like it doesn't mean anything, and yet
Yeah,
they can't wrap their mind when it happens against or it's being happened to them or whatever.
right. This guy I'm with now, he doesn't care at all about it, but he's hopelessly addicted to streetwalkers. So,
And you met him as a client, right?
so what did I expect?
And
like,
you say, oh, go ahead, Adrian. Sorry.
I don't know. I was just gonna say, I would just think like if I was dating a client and then all of a sudden like you're having sex with him and he's not paying you, I would just think of all the money I should have been making.
Yeah, no, yeah. When I get
Do you
mad,
do that too? Where you're like, right
Totally.
now you owe me like $5,000?
Totally. Whenever I get angry, absolutely.
That would be exactly that. And I would see that coming out in like an argument where you're like, well, technically you owe me $5,000.
Yeah, that's like the number one, slur that will come out. Fucking trick, you know. But it is what it is. That's why you don't turn, a hoe into a housewife, or a trick into a house husband.
Oh yeah.
Would you want to get married, or is that something you're not really into?
Yeah, I don't believe in it unless it was for financial reasons.
Does that make sense?
I mean, because it was all invented just, in a stupid way. The love thing, the marriage and all that. It was invented so that it would be like an arrangement, so that the woman would take care of like the house duties, and then the man would go and work, and he could have her, show off her and all this stuff. And it was invented. There used to be courtships and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I'm sure that love actually exists in some standpoints, but most of the time it just is just sex that's good. And then you decide to hang around each other,
Yeah. Marriage is really just like a legal binding, or it was just like a combination of combining properties, I
Yeah.
think. and then the
Well,
woman would get screwed over.
and then the woman was also considered property too.
Right.
So, this guy that you're dating now, do you love him or do you like him? Like,
I love him as a person.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. As a person, I do. Like as a friend.
That's good. That's always like a good foundation. At least you like hanging out with them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good arrangement.
Yeah, it's a good arrangement. What like do you have busy times of the year?
It used to be during summertime I mean, anytime, I guess just because it was hot or the air is different, like the excitement is different or whatever. But like usually anytime that the kids are off school, like winter break and stuff, that's less busy
Yeah.
because, they
People
have to
hanging
be
out
with
with
their
their kids.
family.
In your
In
work,
COVID,
are
like,
there observations of guys or like just people that women probably wouldn't know? You know, like some advice to girls that you've noticed or like
what do you mean?
I'm trying to figure out like just because you deal with a lot of men, is there stuff that you notice or something in relationships that you feel like is missing?
No, I think they're all going to cheat.
Okay.
I think that they absolutely are. I think that we were set up with a false, notion. Somebody lied to us way back when, like that there's supposed to be this family unit, and that's all that's supposed to happen. They're only supposed to be with each other, monogamous. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And then if he's not monogamous, time to pack up your kids and leave him. So then you can, be separated, and it'll be like a single parent household. So then it keeps all of us down, instead of just understanding that men, they release something completely different in their brains when they're having sex than we do. We release a chemical that's like, oh, I love you. They release a chemical that is completely different than that has nothing to do with love. And,
mm,
and their thing is variety. And it used to hurt my feelings, like when I was younger and stuff, because I would see a guy, that I was with cheat with something completely different than me. And I would try to figure it out. Like, is that what I'm supposed to be? She's
mm.
got different color hair, different color, different size body, but it's not anything like that. It's just they were meant to sow their seed with as many people as possible. Like, just that's how they're made. So I think that they're all going to cheat, all of them.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, I get that because I remember when I was bartending in Manhattan, it was at a hotel bar, and it was so astonishing to me where guys on business trips that were married, how I felt like they were all cheating on their wives.
And it doesn't mean that they don't love their wives. It doesn't mean that they want to wake up next to anybody else or take care of anyone else or any of that. They don't even know our names. They don't think about us twice during the day. They love their
Yeah.
family. It's just something that gets them off for a second. And in all actuality, I think escorts really help marriages. They save marriages in a lot of ways.
Oh
Do you ever
yeah,
have a guy? Oh,
sorry, Adrian.
I was just
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, you ever have a guy like talk to you about his wife or girlfriend and be like, "Hey, do you have any advice for me? Like after you guys like whatever, after you guys fool around or something."
All the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, some guys are like hung up on like a girl that they just broke up with or whatever. How do I get her back? Or I've had plenty of virgins that are like they want to get it over with, the virginity part
Interesting.
with me or with, I mean, an
That makes
escort.
sense because
Yeah,
it's
so
like your
then,
first time's always so awkward anyway. So if you're with
right,
somebody that's
they're like a
knows
little
their way,
girl.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that
It's
makes
not going to
sense.
be judgmental as well.
right. And
Yeah.
then they can ask, I mean, they ask me for feedback. I never give them like literal, you know what I mean? I always try to, because if you give them positive feedback, then they're going to perform positively next time because they're confident or whatever. But yeah, they want to get it out of the way so they're not as nervous, and so then they can go, see this girl that's so special to them or whatever. And I saw 3 virgins in 1 week one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would think that that's probably like easier because they have like nothing in their head where they have a certain thing they like necessarily because they're virgins, where I think it would be kind of easier.
In a way. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and I mean, I'm a pretty boring sex worker to where it's like, I I don't do, even if somebody has a lot of, you know, thing in something in their head where they're like, I really like to spit on girls, or I really like, no, no, you're not. Like, no.
Yeah.
But I won't discuss services over the phone or anything. So it kind of has to happen when I'm there. So they have to give me the money anyways. And so, you know, I mean, it's usually pretty cut and dry, pretty normal,
Have you
pretty,
ever had somebody who tried to not pay you?
I just leave.
Or yeah, well, because you're getting the money right away. You ever have
Mhm.
anyone who tries to bargain with you, where he's like, "Well, I know we agreed on $500, but I only have 400." I would think there would
I'll
be
just,
some cheap guys out there who try and like
Yeah.
nickel and dime everything.
yeah, I'll just leave. Usually they try to do that over the phone. And in the past, I've had, you know, people that I show up and they're like, even if they're $5 short, I'm like, okay, have a good night. Here you go. I'm taking this for my time. You shorted me, so you're now you're out. You know what I mean? Like, and they can't do anything about it. Some of them
Yeah.
get angry if they've made me feel uncomfortable and then I decide to leave, you know, early or whatever, because I ask them to stop, you know, doing whatever they're doing, tell them it makes me uncomfortable. They continue to do it. I just get dressed really slowly around men that are like all hyped up around that. You have to do everything really slowly and just talk really calmly and everything's going to be okay. Okay. Until you get out the door and then you run as fast as you fucking can to the car.
Do you
Oh my
bring anything
gosh.
But
with you?
no,
No mace
I
or
never have.
anything?
No. And statistically something should have already happened to me by now, but I
So
feel
far,
like
so
my
good.
intuition, yeah, my intuition's pretty good, and it's not what people say, it's how they say it. Text
Yeah.
messages give up a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine that. If you get creeped out, you're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good that you leave, that you set boundaries for yourself, because I feel like a lot of girls wouldn't. I know I would, because I have a hard time with boundaries anyway when it's not sex related.
And it's hard, it's when you're young and you're just getting into this and it's like you feel, because I remember before being an escort, when you get into a situation with a guy and because they gave you a ride home or because they took you out to eat or because, you know what I mean, they were nice to you or whatever, you would feel obligated in that situation to have sex with them, you know.
Right.
And that always just felt so shitty. And so I can only, I mean, well, I know for a fact that in the beginning guys try to talk girls into all kinds of things. Well, so and so does it for this, or so and so
Right.
always does this for me. And that's why I feel like it'd be better to educate girls than to act like it's not happening and leave them to fend for themselves and get hurt.
Absolutely.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah, and that it's fine to just leave.
yeah, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
get your stuff and get out of there.
and more sex does not equal more money.
No, that's
Interesting.
true. Not with me.
You know,
No, that's great. How
Are
did
you
you
on the
start
Are you in the East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast. I'm in
West Coast?
Sacramento.
You're in
Okay.
Sacramento. Oh, nice. We do shows out there quite a bit at Rooster Teeth.
Really.
Yeah. I loved it. I like Sacramento. It's really nice over there. Um, Let me see. I think you've answered a lot of our questions. I'm actually like impressed that we wrote out all these questions and that we're naturally getting to them. Oh, Adrian had a good one. Are there plus size escorts?
They make a lot of money.
Really? Maybe I'll do it.
A lot of money. A lot of money. And also, a way to dip your toe into it is the fetish, the sites, you know. I mean, you can make videos on almost anything. You can make ignoring videos. Like if you just go to iwantclips.com and look at the categories, there's sneezing, there's coughing, there's belly buttons,
Oh
there's,
my God.
you know, and whatever you think that your flaw is, like
Some,
whatever it is that you might have been made fun of as a child, like, you know, or that you look in the mirror and it's like, oh, that really bugs me, or whatever it is, that's going to be your selling point in sex work.
wow.
It's a total flip.
I'm into
That's
the
amazing.
ignoring somebody. How do you get paid to ignore someone?
You make videos just ignoring. You'll be on your phone or you'll be just ignoring the camera, and you tell them, oh, I want clips, and
And
it's a
that's
good.
Adrian, you would
somebody's
be so
thing.
good.
I
Yeah.
know that's someone's kink, being ignored.
Uh-huh. Yeah. and financial domination is that's a part of it's kind of like
That
financial domination.
we've talked about that. I said I would definitely get into that.
Yeah.
Just I would love to spend someone's money.
And it's all just about just creating an online persona on one of these sites. And I always tell girls like to pick at least one social media site and one sex work site for a month. You know what I mean? Don't spread yourself all over the place because you think you're putting in 100% of your work. These sites are seeing 5% each of your work. So you're not going to grow enough on any one of the sites to be motivated to continue using it. You know what I'm saying? So just
Yeah.
focus on one of them a month and like really put your all into it. And it's just like with anything else, just like with Poshmark, the more clothes that you have listed in your closet, the more people have to choose from. And so it's likely they're gonna sell more rather than if you have
Mhm.
clothing in your closet. So the more videos you post, the better.
Yeah.
And then
What platform do you like the most or has helped you out the most?
OnlyFans, OnlyFans is good. I want clips is good, and eband.net is where you auction all kinds of things. You auction bathroom trash and toenails and
Oh my
foot
God,
What
pads.
this
is
is
it called?
so fascinating.
Eband.net. It's EBANNED.net.
Wow,
Okay.
I've had like a sinus infection for like a year. I bet somebody's into like dirty tissues.
Yeah.
That's insane to me that there's a site where I could just sell dirty tissues.
Yeah. Jars of spit. Used condoms go for like $100 a piece.
That's
Uh,
nuts.
yeah. Socks,
This is
panties.
great,
I know
All,
we're learning so much.
yeah.
especially
You could
during
just
these like weird financial times.
yeah. Yeah. It's very it's an amazing place. The internet's an amazing place.
It is. It's like the Wild West. Like right now, I'm just obsessed with TikTok.
Yeah, me too. I literally, that's my oxytocin. Like I can sit here, like I just can't stop checking it, honestly.
I
What
know
do you
it's
check
so
on
wild.
there?
Oh yeah, what do you like on there?
Well, my feed's full of other sex workers and sugar babies and stuff like that, and drug addicts. So
Yeah. I like family drama. Like I like it when people, even if it's people I don't even know, if they just give me family gossip, I love it. It's so fucking funny to me.
yeah,
Tell her
and that's
about that one you sent me, which was so funny.
Did you see the one? It went viral, I think, outside of TikTok of the woman that made her kids sing happy birthday to their dad, this girl that their dad said or wished happy birthday on Instagram.
But
no,
the wife like hated her. So then the wife was spiteful and made the kids sing happy birthday to her. And it was like such a fascinating thing to just watch this husband be like so mad, but like the level of petty to go make a cake. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
And
yeah,
drag your
I loved
kids
it.
into your shit where you're like, what? That's such a creative way of being petty. But that's the kind of stuff that like I also live for. But I also love your content because I liked how forthcoming with information. And then I loved reading comments on your TikTok. Like there were mothers and daughters that also liked your content as well. Like I think people are becoming more sex positive, and I think with people like you giving like knowledgeable and putting a face to it and making it, I think for the longest time on media it's portrayed negatively, or that a lot of women come from like broken homes, or they're uneducated, and they're not. They're actually well educated women that are doing sex work.
yeah, they've controlled the narrative for so long that we're drug addicts, that we've been molested, that we've all of these things, and that's true for some people, but we're not all just streetwalkers, and you know what I mean, like, and even streetwalkers, like they deserve to have access to information that could help them too if they want, you know.
Everyone does though.
Sesta Fosta made it actually illegal to even give sex workers resources. There was like SWAP in this city, sex workers outreach project, and they would help girls like get medical care and abortions and give out condoms and give them legal help. They're no longer allowed to operate because of the Sesta Fosta thing. And so it's like I never expected it to turn into what it has so far, the TikTok thing, but I'm I'm pretty amazed by it. I think it's great to
I
have
think
like this little community. My audience is 85% female. That blows my
Yeah.
mind.
I was going to ask you, are your clients specifically only men, or is it mixed, some men, some women?
I mean, it's usually men. I've never had just only a female client. I wouldn't be opposed to it. It just hasn't
Happen.
followed through that way. But I have had couples, and I'm always on the girl's side and just like there with, to comfort her, because I know what it's like to be in that situation, especially for the first time. And it's terrifying. And it also is kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this, and so I'm kind of like, like fuck him in a way. Like,
Yeah.
You just gang up on him during it. You
yeah.
guys become best friends.
Right, exactly. We do hair cave, You're so beautiful, you're fine, you're doing
Oh.
great. Like,
That sounds awesome. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, or like, what are some of your goals with sex work or beyond sex work?
I don't know, I just hope to help girls more. I mean, that's
That's
what
nice.
is rewarding to me, So then my YouTube channel, it's growing, and the TikTok is growing and stuff. And so I just want to eventually have a whole library where the girls can look to have all the information that they need, because I'm just slowly piecing it together piece by piece. But there's just so much information, and I'm not legally allowed to give in-person advice, so I have to find a way around that, to be able to without saying that I'm doing that.
It's
Oh
so
yeah.
crazy that like you said, you would like it decriminalized, but it is crazy that like this is work that people are doing. So why wouldn't you want to make it as safe for people as you can? Like I was talking to Sarah about, I got hooked on watching that documentary series called The Killing Season. It's basically like
Yeah,
serial killers. Did you watch it? And you just see how
There's
there's no protection and nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like these women who are just like, and it's like a lot of these truck drivers who are serial killers and just killing like hookers and I guess streetwalkers, and like nobody cares. So it's just like, it's so sad to me because it's like, a lot of disenfranchised people and nobody cares about them. It just like made me really upset watching that.
well,
Because you don't realize it.
I started bawling when just the credits showing up, because it just is so close to me. But if there is somebody, if they find somebody dead and she's ever had any charges of prostitution or solicitation or anything like that, it's automatically ruled no human involvement.
It's weird because it's like everyone is someone's like daughter or sister or friend. It's like, I don't know, it's such a weird judgmental way to say whose life is valuable and whose isn't.
Yeah. And they deem them as undesirable people, and it's no NHI, no human involvement. Sucks.
It's really sad, especially, I guess there was like a case in Long Island where there were multiple women killed, and the cops, I guess, interacted where like it was supposed to go to the FBI, and they were like, no, we don't need you guys here. And you're like, what do you mean you don't need you? Like 9 women or 11 women were killed. It's just like, yeah, we don't care. It's really sad.
And at the same time, then they harass us too in the stings and stuff. The stings, I don't understand at all why they would do that. Like, how is that helping anybody? Don't you guys have something better to do? And
Yeah.
the cops actually came to my house, what, a week ago, over TikTok.
Yeah, I saw
Really?
that. Did somebody turn you or like report you?
I don't know if somebody sent it to them or if they were watching it or whatever, but in the TikTok that they were talking about, I didn't ever say this person was a cop. Like I said, oh, this person adjusted their gun in their waistband. They looked out the window. They told me they were one of the good guys. And then it was up to anybody else to determine if they were a cop or not. I don't know. People could tell me that they're the Queen of England, and they say weird shit all day. I have no idea. Furthermore, it was in 2014. So how do you possibly expect me to remember something like
Yeah.
that? But they came here saying that that's what they wanted to know. Oh, we just want to make sure nothing like that's happening on our force. And I'm just like,
How'd
I
you
don't
even
know
know that?
Huh?
How'd you even remember that? That's 6 years ago.
Yeah, it would be impossible. It was
Yeah.
back then.
That's
Do you
crazy.
do you notice your clients like in one profession? Is it a lot of like lawyers or accountants or cops or politicians?
Depends on what area I'm in. In Sacramento, it happens to be a little bit of everything, and in all honesty, probably a lot of more not legal, um, because it's such a blue collar town. like a lot of not legal professions, like drug dealers or
Okay.
gambling people or stuff. But if I go to like Milpitas or San Jose, it's mostly IT tech people.
That's what I was gonna say. That area,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
techy.
Yeah.
Well, Nikki, we really appreciate you coming on. This has been really fascinating. I also I feel like also following your account is like a good way to find like it's business advice that you're also giving to women. Like I find a lot of stuff helpful on there just for your self-worth. But in the perspective of a sex work, you're like a lot of the stuff that you talked about, I feel like can be applied to uh, every profession that a female's in.
Well, I hope so. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is great, and we look forward to seeing more TikToks from you. And I hope great things for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate this.
I'm gonna get on TikTok just to start following you.
Okay, great.
I've been reluctant to make an account. I just feel like I'll lose days on there. Like I just won't stop with it.
You will, but it's so fulfilling. Like it's so great. Like
Yeah, you learn a lot of information, and I feel like I don't know. I always follow like history stuff, art stuff, how to market yourself, money advice. Like there's all kinds of information on there, and that's what I
and the
liked about yours.
algorithm's better than any other algorithm. So that's
Yeah,
the selling point because it learns you so fast and then it just feeds you exactly what you want. Like so it's great.
it's the
And
best
I heard
friend.
it's also like the most fair because they don't really care if you're famous or not. You know, like
Exactly. Yeah.
you can get like high numbers on there just being kind of like an unknown person. Whereas if your Instagram, it's like, Kim Kardashian, Kanye, it's all famous people. So
No,
I'm going to
totally.
get on there and then I'm going to have to blame both of you when I'm losing days of my life not sleeping.
Okay. I'll take that.
All right. Well, you can follow Daddy Issues, right, on TikTok.
Ready
That's your
period
handle.
issue. Yeah.
Are you on Instagram?
Nikki period New Hope. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Follow Nikki on Instagram, and then we'll put that information out when we share this online, which will be sometime next week.
Okay. All
All right.
right.
Well, thank
Thanks
you
so much
so
for
much.
doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye guys.